What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Zinnias YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be joined by one of the most renowned and prolific team builders of Sun and Moon, Proftreez. Say hello to the channel.
Yo, what's up?
So, you have been around in Sun and Moon, I think, at least since current gen.
Yeah, I started at the beginning of Ultra Sun and Moon, I think, which is like
Yeah, that's
beginning of like 2017. I've been here quite a while.
yeah, 2018, 2019. So you saw Zygarde and all of that, those
Oh
demons.
yeah, yeah. With like Naganadel, and then I think when I started, like Paramosa was still in the tier. It's like so we had all
I
the demons
I
third
have
gen.
no idea why Pheromosa was ever allowed. That shit was crazy. But now we're seeing people say, let's try Zygarde again in the rain thread and let's unban all this stuff. So you know firsthand about how bad Zygarde was.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that like one of the boons of like having that diversity of like tier threads is just inherently building is a lot more varied, but just because it's easier to abuse different like offensive threats. So just because I remember, I think one of the limiting factors of like Pheromosa initially was just coverage issues, and, like the fact that like most toxic excess just like blanked it completely. And then I think like Marowak Alola was popular in that time period too, to like cover Tapu Koko and like without being trapped by Doug Trio. But then sets like for being Quiver Dance just kind of just won anyway. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome. I didn't know about Marowak usage. I guess the ghost typing, that's a really cool interaction. When did you start Pokemon in general?
uh, I began Showdown, and again, it's like at least competitively, the first generation I played was Sun and Moon. Like I've always had an interest with this series, but it's uh, I guess my exposure to like the franchise in general wasn't really something I had until I was like 9 or something like that. So I believe like X and Y were my first mainline game. From there, I began to like just peruse YouTube for like walkthroughs and whatever, and eventually I stumbled upon like replays of Showdown games, and it's kind of where my interest really started. So during once I had Sun and Moon, I kind of began to dabble with like reading and like trying to like start in competitive with like the Wi-Fi, but it's a lot harder to begin something like that when you're like 12 years old. So
Yeah,
eventually, just
there's
I
a lot of time
kind of like
sink. I remember on ORS
yeah, absolutely.
there was at least super training in the past, but in Sun and Moon you'd actually have to I don't remember if there was a mechanism for EV training, but
I think there was. I think it was like Pokemon Pelago, and then there's like there was some system attached to it, but like I had no idea about those nuances at the time period. So it just concept of like IVs or EVs or whatever. So like when I discovered Pokemon Showdown and then and then saw all the like fucking sliders and whatever, and like customizable it was, I just kind of like focused all my time on that because at least then it was like tangible.
yeah, it's so much more beginner friendly. Because I remember I was using some absolute junk on ORS. I didn't check natures and what EVs were. I just got them I just got them the Mega Stone or leftovers or some shit. And then yeah, my
I think my
leftovers
first competitive
Deoxys.
team, yeah, like I think my first competitive team, like I just slapped together had fucking anticipation focus sash Ferrothorn or some dog.
Hmm.
It's like time it's like I had no idea what anything did. So I think for like I essentially just brute forced my way through Sun and Moon.
Yeah, I feel like Sun and Moon was pretty impossible to not beat with all the cutscenes and the free Pokemon that they give you. I started in Gen 6, so I never really played hard games, hard Pokemon games growing up.
I mean, again, it's like my first games were X and Y. It's just, and yeah, I mean, but I guess I don't know. I think the difficulty of like 3DS games in general is just lower. So I think once you have like basic understanding of mechanics and like just what would be the word? Just how much EXP and stuff that they give you, like with the EXP share, is kind of easy to just like breeze through those games.
Yeah, just spamming the starter and stuff. So, outside of 3DS game difficulty, what non-Pokemon games do you play?
Not much really. I mean, I used to play like stuff like what? I mean, I grew up as a Nintendo kid, so catalog of games I had were like comparatively limited. I mean, it's basically just like Mario and then like fucking Super Smash Bros. And whatever. And yeah, I mean, like again, most of what I've played throughout my life has been Pokemon Showdown. So
It's a pretty addicting game, I understand that. But you must have also had a stint with Battlecats, judging by your profile picture, and I'm assuming the thumbnail of the video and the background image, which I'm yet to make. What was your favorite Battlecat?
uh, it's like just the wall cat. It's like a long lanky dude that that you use as like a meat shield. I
Yeah,
don't know. I
are
never
you a
got to like
Battlecats
far
fraud?
into battle cats. It's like my profile picture might like end on like I think the latest I ever went was some of the early chapters in like Into the Future, which is like really early game.
I thought you would have been a Battlecat pro, but the profile picture is just for show.
I mean, I have knowledge of the game. It just I don't know. It's
It's a very hard game. You need to get lucky.
yeah. I mean, inherently with like gotcha games or whatever, it's really a huge time sink, and you really do have to like find a lot of stuff because like one of the mechanics is like treasures, which is something that you is like randomly dropped whenever you beat a stage that you
Mm.
need to like 100% because the stat boosts they give you are like essential for like later in the game.
Yeah, for sure.
You
It's
do
it's
dump
a
like
very
hours and
grindy.
hours. Yeah, I mean, again, and that's like another appeal of like Showdown for me. It's like it's instant. Of course, there's a skill curve, and you do need sheer knowledge of in order to like really play. But, I mean, even then, you can just like load up rand bats and whatever, and then just get into it that way.
Yeah, it really takes away the barrier to entry. I mean,
Right. Again, it's like
we're
what?
very lucky for Showdown.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, it's like when I started, I was 12 years old. Besides like some basic type knowledge and then like I think move sets from one of the old Pokemon handbooks that you just pick up at like a book fair, and
Yeah, I
then
remember there's not a single Pokemon book that could teach you to get good at Pokemon Showdown, I think.
hey man, what is it? I mean,
The Jamvad book.
Jambad. That's there. How much does that thing even cost? Because
I'll get that up
I think I've seen like
if
a
I
PDF
can.
of it before.
Jamvad book. I'll see if that comes up on Google. That can be bought on Amazon for £19 and 34 pence. You think that's a good deal?
I mean, it's a better deal than whatever. What was it? Who is it? Like Finger Cross? He charges
Oh
like
yeah,
50 pounds or something.
Finger Cross's coaching. You can't even get an hour for £30. That's crazy. Or
Easy.
$30.
Yeah, I mean, I'd argue that's the better scam, but
Yeah, holy shit. I hope I get some more subscribers. I want to pull that scam.
uh, no, I mean, genuinely, what is the point of those classes? Like, I think there's a lot of the game that just can't you can't really like explain in the time frame of an hour.
And like, I think the most crucial part is Pink Cross is not a tournament player. He doesn't
He's
like
a ladder hero.
yeah, if you want to learn how to ladder, then you could get some free advice from FDMW.
I would not recommend said advice, but it's probably better than fucking ping crosses. I mean, it's I mean, shit, man. If I knew that being a mid Pokemon player who was good at ladder and who used shitmons would I mean, 50 pounds for an hour? That's nothing. Or is it, what is it, dollars or whatever?
Yeah,
I don't know
so,
where things
something
are.
is too much. If he's charging money, it's too much. How much would your coaching cost for Sun and Moon Ladder?
I mean, I wouldn't, but I think I rant enough about the game as is. There really wouldn't be any point in charging money for it.
Yeah, I mean there is a lot of free information you can get for Showdown.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
again, it's
from
like I brute force the game. Like, I mean, I spent essentially the entirety of like Sun and Moon and like Sword and Shield just perusing the forums and just constantly like reading through things because like there's a lot of information you can derive even from like alternative gens like ADV and then GSE and P and whatever. There's aspects of team building that do translate across generations and like just like sequences and like the way that like just positioning and all that.
yeah,
There's a
that
lot you can learn on your own. It does require like time, and I think that's why the was there. It's like you have someone who's figured out the basics and can just like relay that information to you.
that's interesting. I haven't thought about using the classic gens to learn from in Sun and Moon, apart from when I just see something that I want to try and then it just fails, like Swagger Alakazam or something. But yeah, you have how much time do you think you spent towards Sun and Moon in your time on Showdown?
Oh, easily thousands of hours. Because the thing is I essentially grinded ladder for until I entered tournament play. Like I committed to it, which was about 2023. So from the entire duration of 2017 to 2023, I was pretty much just grinding ladder nonstop.
How much do you think ladder can help you improve today? I mean, I feel like it's quite a different ladder than the ladder of old. It wouldn't have
Um,
the old legends. I mean, there's still Norton and German, but
yeah, I mean, there's still some decent players who do play. Like you'll see some like, was it Onto and the like, just during multi-gen tours like Masters or Tour. Like and of course like World Cup and like you'll still play decent players, but yeah, I mean, in general the landscape of SM has just become very defense oriented, and so and with I think with any like overly offensive generation, just naturally you're going to see the more extremities of those of the styles like Prime Ladder. So it's like just rain and hell, and I mean you do need to be you do need to know how to play those, and I think the other aspect of it is it does make it so that you can adapt. I think it's much more easier to adapt like if you're used to playing some random crackhead offense and then being able to like steer effectively and readjust and still win from like a bad position. Like I think that there's like valuable skills you can get from ladder, but ultimately core play and ladder play are two different things.
yeah, I get what you're saying. So learning to deal with variants, to deal with just random bullshit, is still good experience for when you face real teams.
Right. And
I will say though that on the Sun and Moon ladder right now, PokePro is top five. And the number one user on the ladder is that Coco Rain booster guy from Sun and Moon Ladder Tour.
who the fuck?
Oh
Let
yeah.
PokePros I'll get top five. Oh no.
Yeah, PokePro still.
You should not be losing to that team.
Yeah, it's like Shedinja or something. I mean, that was that one time where he got really mad and he started using some offense and then he just got to like 1300 or something. But yeah, it's just spams Shedinja. I guess it's because of all the rain.
I guess so. I mean, again, it's like it's a massive influx of hyper offense and range. I think naturally it's like shit into stall with fucking unaware Clef would probably handle that, but come on, it's a stall that loses to a decent and Cartana user. Like the top specs is like what? It's Scald Block Haze or something stupid.
Yeah, it's not a good team. It's just fishing for just random shit on their ladder. I
I
guess it's
the other thing
effective.
is like I swear if you like burn his stable eye or something mid game, he's gonna fucking forfeit. Like it's honestly not that hard to beat him.
Mm.
And I guess for the Coco Rain guy, I mean, I guess inherently like Rain's more annoying to deal with, but I don't know. I think a lot of those like Rain ladder players kind of fall into similar pitfalls where they tend to mismanage their resources a lot. So it if you're able to like deal with that initial Rain assault, I think generally it's easy to close out end games against them. So no, I, then again, it's like ladder's probably in the worst state that's ever been, because if I remember, it's like Sun and Moon used to be the most active ladder,
And then
alongside like
ADV came
ADV.
along.
Right, but even then, it's like even when ADV became like the most prominent ladder, like the average elo for Sun and Moon still resided in like 1800s or so, and now it's like what, like mid 1700s is probably not
The
even multiple people are really
yeah,
sharing that
the
rank.
the number one on the ladder is the booster guy with 1755, and then it's just a bunch of 1710s people. And then ADV is, I mean, they had somebody hit 2000 before, but they're at 1824, so it's not that different right now. But it's looked more concerning before.
I don't know.
Um,
I think this is like the lowest average elo I've seen in like an SM ladder.
yeah, it's definitely not looking good. But in terms of old gen ladders, Kyrius topped the Sword and Shield ladder with 1618. At
Okay,
least
to be
we're not
fair,
that.
yeah, I mean to be fair, SS ladder is like quite literally just a graveyard. I mean,
Yeah, it's so bad. I don't even understand why.
I mean it probably has a competitive level of like retirement home, like just walk in there and do what you want.
I genuinely don't get it because Gen 8 is in Masters, it's in Smogon Tour, it will be in Smogon Tour when Gen 10 comes out. Like, it's kind of crazy how it's just fallen into such disrepair. I guess it's because of stallers in that gen, I guess. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't even think like stall is necessarily that good in SS because there's you lack a lot of the defensive responses that you do have in like prior gens. It's why ghosts are so prominent in that tier, and go like in power or whatever. So it makes it harder to chip down certain walls. I think the biggest issue with SS is just the general pace of the metagame and like how like top heavy it is, and just like leads to it being inherently more fishy. It's a lot of attributes are like more balanced in comparison to like SM.
Yeah,
It's kind of like GSE in that regard. Like, yeah, sure, GSE is generally quite well regarded as like a competitive metagame, but you check the ladder, it's like it's abysmal because no one wants to play that for fun.
yeah. So it's more of Sun Shield just being too fishy to kind of string together wins on that much.
It's fishy and it's boring, I think, is the thing. Like, because at least for SM, and I think I'd argue it for like SV as well, but like I guess black and white, those games are a lot where whenever you progress in those tiers, it's a lot more tangible. Like you feel like you're winning whenever you are. Whereas for SS, there's a lot of like cases where there's multiple like 20 turns where you're just switching between two things to just stall out PP, like
Yeah, for sure. PP
and like
stalling
future
is
sites and
more
whatever.
PP stalling is way more prevalent in Sun and Shield because they have Corviknight, and
Yeah,
a Corviknight in Sun and Moon, that would be so disgusting.
I don't know. I don't think it's like as well. I think the caveat is that in Sun and Moon it wouldn't have access to body press, and that kind of changes a lot of things because it makes it far more like passive inherently, especially since SM is a tier particularly laden with like
Mhm.
steals and flyings and like the so you can't punish the things that you could in S like because like then you're like relegated to like Brave Bird and whatever U turn, which I mean to be fair, it does have a pivot move.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. The pressure, it's got a pivot move. Like I've played stall v stalls in Sword and Shield, and it really is just a PP stall fest with Corviknight coming in to block another Corviknight's defog. Like I'd say, yeah, it's not very something that
It's not
I
exactly what you
play.
call exhilarating by
Yeah,
any metric.
it's not exhilarating. I mean, when I think of fun in Pokemon, I'm thinking Sun and Moon. I'm thinking SV. Even Auras can be fun, but yeah, definitely Sun and Moon because I suck shit at Auras. So and Z moves, Megas, like
Yeah, I
I
mean that's
think.
fair. I mean, I think the only generation I've really played are Sun and Moon and like a pre-home SS back when it used to be like chaos.
Oh, is that like teleport clef stuff?
Yeah, the Wishport Clef era, and then you had Draco Vish and the trio and the tier at the same time, and
Oh
then
right,
some
yeah,
of
I
them were like
remember that.
unwallable.
That was exactly
I think,
why I kept playing Sun and Moon.
yeah, I I forget. I think Wishport Clef was like their home dropped. I think before that it's like nothing existed, and I think once like the DLC dropped, I think that's when the metagame like really started to form into modern SS.
Well, pre-home was like Dynamax Gyarados type shit.
Yeah, it was full of stupid stuff because like half of the threats in the tier were like bugged.
And
Because
they had
I remember I was using like Gigantamax Alcremie and like some weird stall shit, and because the Gigantamax move was bugged, instead of acting as like Giga Drain essentially, it just healed you straight up to full.
yeah, I remember the bug where they just went through Protect and did 100% of the damage.
Yeah, I mean early SS was a mess, but it was fun. I will say that.
Absolutely, yeah. So, you spent a lot of time in Sun and Moon, you're a Sun and Moon main, but as for the players that represent Sun and Moon in SPL, there seems to be quite a divide. I remember you had a controversy on the Sun and Moon SPL discussion thread. Why do you think there's such a disconnect between SPL and tier mainers?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just there's currently like a vacuum in regards to the general skill level because a lot of the upcoming SM players they started very recently, right? You know, these are players who began in like 2023, 2024, and
Yeah.
in general, it's like I think the perception of the metagame is just vastly different between those who play the tier, you know, on and off shows and team tours in comparison to someone who's like constantly upkeeping with the meta. Because I think SM does have or it it, it it has a stigma of being a very matchup heavy tier. The
Yeah.
I think as and of course there are like elements very like MU fishy, right? You know, there's easily there the stereotypical like Ho on Rain matchup or you know Sol versus offense and versus like Sun and stuff like that. Those do exist, but I think the other part of it is just there needs to be a balance because of course in a competitive metagame with as much variety and like variance as Pokemon, you do have to be willing to take risks, but to forfeit um, like potential to like win into large portions of the metagame is just something that inherently feels antithetical to you know the desire to you know create a competitive metagame, right? Because you want the best players to beat the best players. You don't want slop to just win because it just happens to find an land in 100-0 matchup on this certain team and then just get wiped out by the rest of the metagame. And I think the other part of it is just despite its activity as a competitive gen, in regards to like the inner workings of the tier for like the buildings and like the metagame innovations and whatever, those are you know those are like relegated to a handful of players because building an SM is hard, and I don't think a lot of SPL players do understand that. And so what happens is that tours like SPL, Masters, S Tour, World Cup, they set the standard for the metagame for the rest of the year. And so, if all you're doing is just fishing within those tours, then you're just setting that as a standard, and so the tier just becomes shit.
Yeah, I think SPL players, they seem to come up with stuff like how Sun and Moon is all offense and that you can't use balance. And yeah, I guess that's kind of shown by their teams that they bring. It's all anti-offense stuff. I mean, there was
Yeah, I mean,
even Mega Manectric and Mimikyu
boy,
stuff that was noted in the thread.
I understand their usage. Like, of course, like Manectric does like good matchups into like certain subsets of offense, but conversely, it just gets dogged on by like a decent fat, and like Sand just murks it because Tyranitar just constantly comes in and traps it. It can't outpace like side spam. It can't. It's kind of like the downsides of running such a mon are just so exponential that like if you're willingly using that in an SPL game, then I don't think that's a good representation of like your skill level. I think you're just resorting to matchup fish to win the game, right? you're you're
Yeah.
you're trying to take advantage of the the builder rather than like actually or like I I guess it'd be like cheesing the person, right?
Yeah, I get what you're
That's what it
saying.
is. It looks like cheese, or it feels like cheese to me at least.
Mm. But rather than agreeing with their take on that you should just anti-offense the offense, you're a proponent of balance and you are a proponent of Cosmic Power, Seismic Toss, Encore, Clefable, which actually had a controversy of its own.
It did.
It
Or
did, yeah.
I'll talk about this.
You got called out for stealing the credit.
Yes, the infamous MANNATCLEF. I mean,
Yeah, the
how can I be
MANNATCLEF.
so dubious to take credit for that? Team Tour player Manat. Obviously, he's the arbiter of innovation within the tier of SM. Truly, truly a revolutionary. It was delicious. Anyway, I wouldn't say I'm
Yeah,
necessarily
rest in peace to UC's account. That was
side for
that
SMs,
was the
man.
best. Yeah, that was the best drama. That was just after I started taking a break from SMOGON, and then I just randomly stumbled on DUC is banned now, and it's because he participated in a Manat themed discussion about
Yeah, I mean,
Clefable. I'm not sure if I can I definitely can't show it on the channel, but
you'd have to
yeah,
crop out a lot of it, and even then, it's like
yeah,
I'm pretty sure they deleted it.
it was a cropped image that that depicted Starry and Manat
It
together.
was juice. It was juice, guys. It was juice. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that was an
But no, I mean,
insane moment. But you and
yeah, I mean, there certainly are worse ways to go. I think
I
trolling
I
is.
think I think that is the perfect way to sum up the UC. He just became a moderator and he goes out with a
That
bang.
did damage. It was like for what is it, quality control, right?
He was the moderator of Sun and Moon analysis. I was trying to get him a cushy
Yeah.
job, custom avatar. I think he actually was eligible for the custom avatar before doing this.
No, if I remember correctly, I think he got that commission, and then
Yeah,
he
he
just
got the custom
ended immediately
avatar and
after.
then he got himself banned.
Hey man, that's the goat right there.
Deuce is the goat. So he is Deuce is maybe the person you've spent the most time building with, would you say?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, my interactions with him began in like I believe 2021 or somewhere in the early 2020s. Because we began to interact on the SM Discord and then yeah SM server, and yeah, from there it just we began to like work together with like building and stuff because we had just like stupid ideas. Like he'd bring up Zero Aura and whatever. in like the general chat, and then we just take some time to just try and make it work. And yeah, I mean, from there on, it's like we eventually just and building and prepping together for like tours, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So how did you and DUC get good at building? Did you have to try everything in order to find out what's good?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, if you look at a lot of our early builds, a lot of them were like very experimental. As part of it was we were trying to find like pockets of the metagame that were exploitable. Like I think things like uh Draco Meteor and like Latios kind of covered a lot of like offense issues, and then I think infamous Seismitoad just like will turn offense, which was like very prominent during the time period. The other thing we're trying to do, or we tried to do, was like adapt certain play styles from like previous metagames. Oh, I think one of those things were like trade offense from Whereas for like SS, and I think and yeah, there's similar things from like DTP, like with like Gyarados and whatever. But yeah, I mean, we just put shit together, and eventually we just kind of figured things out.
So ever since Millennium Mambo, you two have been a pretty dangerous building core.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say like at a certain point it became a trio because when Zaza had his come up and became integrated with our group, I think a lot of we made a we collectively like constructed a lot of like notable builds within the metagame.
Zaza is the GOAT. Ah, why did he have to leave so soon?
I mean, I understand his perspective on it because it's a lot to put your everything into something and just not end up with the results how you want, especially given how I guess like emotional he is when it comes to like the game itself because he invests everything uh, within his game. So I think
He
he takes it like
was
very
he
hard.
was 100% or 0%. There was no in between. And that's
Yeah,
why, yeah, he's a legend. But yeah, I think
a very controversial one, but
very
that makes fun of
controversial.
me.
I mean, I would say very controversial, but he had a
He's like
moment for
one with it.
sure. He
I don't know. I think unfortunately it's like Zaza is best remembered for high highs and low lows because in 2023 he had a fantastic run for a new player. Like he made it into like ORS Invitational. He qualified for like 3 circuits and like made top masters within the same year. And then his SPL went the way it did with like
yeah.
and ended out with like some shouts and yeah. And then following years he managed to like peak 6 different ladders at the same time. He began like procuring results in other tiers, but then what happened.
Yeah.
And
So, I mean, I remember his first SPL. It was 2-7, right?
right,
It was these games where he lost. It was so unfortunate. I think there was a time where he was playing against Devon, I think, and
that game was heartbreaking because
that was so
it was
heartbreaking. He still had so much season left to play, but I feel like it just put a dampen on the rest of it.
no, I would say the turning point was well, I don't want to get into it too much, but I think the turning point was when he lost a Charm Flash in week 5. I think I think once he lost that week, it's like then he just kind of like crashed mentally because even against Devin, it's like it was even though he lost, you could still acknowledge that like he nearly won like a 70-30 matchup and only lost to like a miss because uh, Devin's Tornadus dodged like a Tyranitar Scarf Rock Slide, and like removing
Yeah,
Torn from that point in the game would have opened enough for him to like win, I believe. Like and again, it's like his 2 losses leading up to that Charm Flash game were to Devin, which was arguably too and whatever, and then to Skype. And losing to Skype is no shame, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Because he won his 2 previous games against Quilly and I want to say PZZ quite dominantly. So up until then it was like fine, but yeah, week 5 when he lost to Charm Flash, I think that just like paused momentum.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And then obviously the next SPL, I feel like he didn't actually do too bad in this SPL, but I think he was done after the World Cup for sure.
Yeah, I mean I will say it's like leading up to that deal, which would be 2025, I believe. Yeah, or the most latest one, right? And we were going into it with the understanding that Zaza would be starting in SM. So following the draft and finding out that he was relegated to a sub slot, like a prepper, killed things. I mean, again, it's like we were preparing for to play the 9 weeks as a starter, right? And
Yeah.
just and then
Who who was starting
in
over
mid-season
Zaza?
getting subbed into a case, I believe, right? Because he was on the Tigers.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like mid-season, he got stuck in like SS and then just had to play SS for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everything that he put himself 100% to, he could get results. I mean, there was RBY, there was
He definitely
GSC.
could. Yeah, I mean, if I remember correctly, he was supporting all of RBY, GSC, 4S, SM, and SS at the same time.
Yeah, it was nuts. So yeah, I definitely don't blame him for wanting out.
Yeah, again, it's when you're going into the mentality that like with the belief that you'll be starting and then you're just forced to like a support slot. It's very draining for one, but again, it's like juggling all those tiers at the same time and then eventually being forced into a tier that you haven't played competitively for like what 2 years or whatever. Because I believe Oz's last SS games were that Masters run in 2023.
Yeah, or his his SS Cup win? I'm not sure which would have been
I
first.
think the SS Cup precedes the Masters run because I think Masters he top cutted Masters and I think that's what him into SPL or for
I
that year I believe.
I wish they did that nowadays.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't really trust SPL drafting anymore. I think I don't know. I don't think they take value into like seasonals and they're I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I think a lot of the times they just favor established players, just jamming them into what they deem like flex gens or whatever. I think
Yeah,
I think
it's
that's like
definitely
another
not
thing
easy to
that
break into Fairy Gen
yeah,
specifically.
right. Because I mean, again, the general skill level for those tiers are quite high. But even though I don't agree with a lot of the perceptions of those tiers like being easy per se. Because I think if you look at like statistics and or SM specifically across past few SPLs, I think like quite literally every non-mainer went negative except for at the time Separation, who's a sub slot, and then Metallica, who's a sub slot. But if you watch those games, they weren't. A lot of them were like contingent on Hack to win, and then I believe Umbri went 4-1 but dropped out like mid-season,
Yeah.
and then I think there's like Sinnoh confirmed who went even, and forget what else, but it's SM is hard.
Yeah, it feels like
There's so much.
everybody says they can play Sun and Moon because it's easier to get into than classic gens. But
Right, like the
there's
barrier to
there's a
entry is a lot
difference.
lower, but the ceiling is like so much higher than I think people understand because there's so many nuances within the generation. Like it's quite literally a tier where every good offensive threat quite literally has like 5 viable sets at minimum. Like and just being able to like team read and fundamentally understand how to like outplay certain things. Like I think there's a lot of elements of SM that just overlooked, like the additions of terrains in their strongest state in that tier. It's like an element that could almost be equated to a weather, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think like SM could be equated to like a weather gen, like and white, because I mean all three of sun, sand, and rain are very prominent within those tiers, and then you have the addition of the archetypical fences that stem from the terrain setters or like the tabus, right? Because like there's grass spam exists, side spam exists, bulky offenses that are like are anchored by Tabu Fini, and then
And then there's
Fuecoco, which
even
happens
yeah,
to like
Coco Lucha. I
yeah,
absolutely agree.
Coco
It's
Lucha. There's like hyper offenses that are like tied together by having that Spellbreaker Coco, and then it's there's so much more nuance to this tier that than I think people give it credit for, because again it's relegated to being a matchup fish, and just because of how strong things are within the tier, I think people are able to find a lot of success with that because it it's it's hard to just outplay something that can just team.
Hmm. Yeah, I get it. So I do want to ask, I have the Necrozma Sun up here. It's probably one of the, apart from the Mega Altaria team or the Dragonite Victini Alliance thing, that's probably one of the teams attributed to you that are most known. Why Necrozma over Cresselia?
Well, I think it's the qualities as an offensive rocker. I think because the thing to understand is like tier does have like good defoggers, but a lot of them don't really maintain that like permanence. Like they don't last as long as something in comparison to like a Corviknight or. And so Necrozma being as strong as it is and like as it is with like Photon Geyser, and it's like what 127 special attack, is able to pressure a lot of those. The other thing is just like its coverage options are excellent. It's like Earth Power, Heat Wave, and whatever. And so being able to punish things like Heatran entries and like and whatever else, it's very good for the Sun archetype because you essentially have a rocker that denies entries for a lot of things that would like to switch in on Sun's best threats, right? Because like Toxapex can't enter on Necrozma, the Heatran can't enter on Necrozma. Yeah, sure, can enter on Necrozma, but then you get rocks up for free, and then it becomes like free switch in for something like Heatran or whatever. And
Mm,
the other aspect of it is that this archetypical AVR Sun struggles a lot with like fighters and certain physical offensive threats. Like Kartana is a decent wall against like rounds or whatever, but Mega Medicham and like Mega Lopunny are like massive pain in the asses, and even things like Halucha as well. And that's one of the main reasons that Cresselia Sun would find prominence as like probably the main form of Sun alongside that like Victini Serp one. But Necrozma, unlike Cresselia, able to remain. It's not as passive, and it's able to pressure things. Cresselia would been able to, and so you have this like trade piece that's able to chip down things like what, like Anatar. It's able to chip down Feenies and whatever. Because you have the bulk and you have the power and the coverage.
yeah, so I guess it is with Sun, there's quite a rigid hazard game. You need to prioritize keeping them off, but that
Right.
can often come as the expense of you not getting yours up. But Necrozma can pressure some defoggers. It doesn't allow rockers to get in safely. But yeah,
Right.
I think yeah, that's a nice explanation.
Like, it functions as a good like defensive piece
Mhm.
because it trades with a lot of like the physical attackers in the metagame. Like Archamp can't 2 KO with like Earthquake. Like same goes for like Lando. So those are like force use like C moves if they want to break through it. And then its speed tier is also quite good concerning the like at least with the investment that we use, it's like it hits the 220 range or whatever, like 222.
Yeah,
That a lot of the defensive mons and pivots kind of find themselves in, especially considering in the middle game right now, it's like barely any Landorus into like really run speed, and so being able to like threaten to a KO on that after like Rock's chip is huge,
yeah, I'd say like the average 219 Lando that Necrozma would feast on.
right? Again, it's like there's other things to it, like it's Prism armor, just kind of letting it tank an extra hit from stuff like Weavile and whatever, and you can just extra hit, and which is particularly relevant for like Tyranitar, which I think is like the arguably the biggest opposition for Sun. Being able to like trade for, you know, 2/3 of its health bar while also getting rocks up is huge.
Hmm. And I'd say other than Necrozma, I also want to know about Altaria, or I want I want your take on Altaria. So, what's so good about Altaria in Sun and
Well,
Moon?
it has okay, so I began using Altaria back in or well the original composition originates 2018, I want to say. Um and so during that time period, I used to be like a heavy stall player. One of the defining attributes of Altaria was how it was able to defensively like excel against a lot of what you'd be considered like traditional stall breakers, like stuff like Crawdunt and Charizard X and the like. And I think where my interest in it originally lied, but in the context of the modern meta game, it's like you cover both of the Zards post mega. You're able to answer Serperior, which has been deemed like a very prominent threat in the current meta game because you're one of the few things that are able to safely phase out and pressure higher seed serps. There's some other things too. Let me open up the builder real quick.
Yeah, raw Altaria for Subseed Sep. I mean, I feel like Subseed Sep does need a suspect, but having that grass resistant raw is always nice. It's actually 4 times before the Mega Evolution, which is perfect.
Yeah. My own opinions on strips, so which we can probably cover later. But I mean, again, it's like you cover Astren, which is a huge threat in the tier. You're able to deal with Mega Gyarados, which tends to be like a problematic Pokemon for a lot of tier teams. You're able
Yeah,
to cover
for
Keldeo, Homo-O. You're able to like trade with Mega Lopunny if you keep it healthy, like that. You're able to like soft check Hurts and just because of its natural bulk and like just having that like stab fairy move, you're able to trade with a lot of the tier. And I think that's something that's like very valuable. Also, yeah, also with like Roar, you're able to blank a lot of Volcarona sets at unless they're like Sea Psychic or like Roost or whatever. You're gonna be able to outlast them and constantly phase them.
yeah, so I guess it's sort of a on the stall that it's on, it combats some anti-stall measures.
Right. And even then, it's like it also still functions as like a defensive card because like pre Mega, Altaria still covers like a good amount of things. Like it's you're able to like because Natural Cure and like possess lets you just switch in onto stuff like Toxapex or Gastron or whatever and just drain PP because even if you get status, you can just switch it out. And you still check stuff like Volcarona and then aforementioned Serp and like Zard Y and whatever. And even for stuff like defensive like Torn, you're able to like stay in and just click Body Slam and fish for Paras. Which and once Torn is parried, then the rest of the team is just opened up because you can't the opposition isn't able to like control hazards as easily anymore or like break down the team with like Taunt Torn. And again, it's like just the utility of Mega Altaria is like a bit underrated because I don't think a lot of things have its defensive profile while also having a, the ability to function as a cleric. Because Heal Bell is a very hard commodity to fit in on most bulky teams, and so being able to just slot it on Mega Altaria very freely just kind of opens things up like Uniqueness and the like. Because now you're not as worried of like using that Z move to like trade with things or whatever. And so,
Yeah, for
and so
sure.
it just functions as like an excellent defensive cog within the context of that specific team. Now, obviously, you can't really fit it as much as one would like because you have to mega to have that like dark resistance and it's rock weak and passive. I think within the context of its specific subsets of fats, I think it does what it does, and in a way that like nothing else can replicate.
Yeah, especially in the Mega slot, it's quite unique. And yeah, I think
Right.
maybe we should touch on Substitute Superior. I covered Rain extensively on the last interview, but with Substitute Superior, do you think that it deserves a ban? And how would you
Yeah.
sum up its brokenness or how it's not broken?
Well, I think one of the fundamental issues with Superior is just how it's able to feast on a lot of current anti-offense measures within the tier because like it decimates sand, it just fucks over sun and whatever. It's a hassle even versus like home mirrors and the like. And a lot of that is because I don't think it's easy to like fit phasing and alternative countermeasures to it in the current metagame right now because of how offensively slated it is. And so because of its like combination of speed and like its typing kind of making it hard to like really punish it's setting up substitute with like a pivot move, for example, because I mean you're pretty much like limited to just U-turn to breaking superior sub. It just
Yeah.
finds a lot more free turns than you would think would be able to. Um, and so I think my thing with subseed Serp is that it needs like chains of free turns to really do anything. It's just that right now it finds them a lot, and because even beyond its seed set, I think Serperior is like a fantastic addition to the metagame. I mean, there's issues with like glare and the variance that it naturally brings, but I mean, it not Ho doesn't really have a glue can be replicated like Serp, and I think sets like synthesis and the like on Sun provide like tremendous value because again, Sun really doesn't have any decent Mega Diancie checks beyond like Serperior and like Cresselia. And then Garf sets are also excellent to deal with like rain. They aren't great. They won't solo rain in itself, but the utility it provides is like a revenge killer and being able to check a lot of Ho threats by threatening to paralyze them at like +1 and stuff like that is like valuable. Uh, it's hard to say because it's polarizing, but I don't think it's to a point where it's automatic. Like it, it doesn't feel like a case where it's like Zygarde or whatever, which can just bust through all of its checks with a few lucky turns because there's opportunity cost to dropping like HP Fire or Leech Seed or HP Rock or Glare. And again, it's not as automatic.
Yeah, I think once
You
the
have to
mana
get
fee
like
ban
bugs and you have to
happens,
change. Yeah,
it will allow some more like Jirachi stuff. Maybe we can see more Moltres because it'll be more viable to like kind of deal with rain while using more passive styles. So I think once that happens, Superior will get a little more easy to deal with.
I will say it is the caveat that like it's not necessarily that Superior or like banning Manaphy makes those stuff stronger. It just that it makes it easier for them to run like utility options are just better suited to dealing with like offense in general. Because like one of the big things that Manaphy does is it pigeonholes like Mega Latias into running like Thunder if you want to handle it properly. Whereas
Yeah,
I think particularly excellent move to run on Latias in the current metagame is Roar, which does and to also help immensely with dealing with Superior. And then stuff like Heart Swap on Magirna is easier to run because it's not like you're just getting punished for existing on the field, trying to deal with Manaphy, and then it's you're not as pressured to. I think things like Roar on Heatran could be easier to run because now you're not as forced to like stall out rain turns for the love of God, because Manaphy just has 7 turns to just wreck you. And I don't know.
yeah,
I think it just opens up the metagame in a way that just makes it easier to deal with a lot of its strongest threats. And I think with that defensive pushback, I think the tier will stabilize and it becomes easier to like punish the matchup fishing presented within the metagame at the moment.
yeah, absolutely. I do want to ask, you can be on this or not, it's up to you. But who would your Sun and Moon builder Mount Rushmore be? So the top four iconic faces of Sun and Moon team building.
That's actually a hard one because I think all time it's like I think Bengay is obviously there. I mean, I have some fundamental disagreements his with certain aspects of his building style, but I think what he's innovated and what he's done is like you can't deny that. I don't think any player is as creative as Bengay.
Yeah,
And I mean,
he
it's like
has
the
the
saying
strongest
goes, like
legacy.
yeah, like it's as the saying goes, like if you think you build something, chances are Bengay fucking build it first. I think one spot would obviously go to him. From then on, it gets like muddy. I think I think despite my issues with his building in the modern metagame, I think ABR has like immense legacy, especially like with how he influenced Ho within the tier. Because like without that double fire hyper offense, like 2021, I don't think Ho would have found that resurgence that it does now, and be or well, it wouldn't have be as prominent as it is now without that team. And of course, he's had like massive success throughout the years in the tier of SM and a lot of fats and once his structures can be attributed to him. Um, but and then of course there's like Skype, like any Sky Penguin team just kind of becomes a meta game. Like during the years that he was active in SPL, it's like player base was just running Skype teams, seeding with them. I think Skype is like an easy addition, and
I think he's by far the most influential modern builder.
right. So I think Skype and Ben Gay are the two easy slots. From there on, it's like it's very becomes murky. I think because
Yeah, I think there are quite a good amount of fourth slots because there would be Zaza, there would be you, there would be DIYUSI, there would be Empo even. Like apart from obviously his play, he um
right,
he built a lot of his own teams.
right, and there's plenty of very influential teams that originate from him, like his Sand being probably one of the most noteworthy in the context of the modern metagame, but also his like full turn teams and just like Mega Lopunny Fat and just there's a lot you can attribute to Empo. I do think I'll give one of those slots to ABR because of just how impactful he was during the current generation and the fact he still remains like relevant even if he doesn't really play the tier. Because again, it's like I don't think the impact of ABR double fire hoe can really be understated. Um, I mean, again, as for the last slot, there's a lot because like Will of Fire is up there. I think, yeah, I mean, like, of course, there's plenty of like modern or like there's quite a few like modern builders that you could probably make an argument for, but I don't know, like this the longevity kind of becomes questionable when it comes to them.
Yeah.
Um,
Me personally, I would go Ben Gay, Sky Penguin, Empo, and Zaza.
Interesting.
The tier
I don't think
defining
that. I think I
strategies.
can agree with that. Yeah, I think I could agree with that because I think without Zaza repopularizing like Dragonite, I think the offensive landscape of the tier would be very different. Because like you can attribute the surge of Dragonite directly to Zaza, like
Yeah,
without him,
even from Boss Knight, which has been recreated on other teams,
right? And even
to
then, it's like
regular Dragonite with Z move.
right, and then even then, it's like the DMC team, the Diancie, Victini, Fini, Pharaoh, uh, Lando Dragonite team. That build stems from one of the earlier versions that we used against Skype during that same SPL. Like we had a Thunderous over the Lando slot, but effectively the same team. And so, and that team has become like a massive fixture in the current metagame. And so another thing to note is that I think Zaza was was impactful in like repopular or popularizing Zard X again because I think he was one of the first builders to put together an effective Zard X team with Heal Bell,
Yeah,
if I remember
which
correctly.
Zardex team is this? I'll have a look for it.
Uh, I think it was just more so the core in itself because I remember we were talking to Skype about it, and
Oh,
then I
is
think
this the Triple Dragon team?
no, not the Triple Dragon team. It was like essentially a very early version of the of that Cresselia Seismitoad Torn Ditto Fat.
All right,
Like a
so
very rudimentary version of that kind of was what we figured out. But then again, it's like it's hard to attribute like metagame innovations like that to a single person, because if I remember correctly, I think Custavon and Fu also had their own versions of that team during that same during a summer time period. They came to like the same core.
yeah, I remember. I think Shafu used Clefable over Cresselia,
I
but
think he used like Katana over Ditto, and I think the same was for Custavon. I think Ditto was what Sky Penguin used.
yeah, I remember this team when it first came out. Everyone was obsessed with it because
Yeah,
the bulky SD Zardex stuff. I don't really think it's that strong currently, but at the time it was legendary. It it
oh,
debuted
it was
against
satanic.
it
It
was
just
against
creamed the balances and stuff. That was
Charmflash in
common.
SPL. I think he faced Charmflash's Celesteela, and with this team you could just it kind of exposed how one-sided Celesteela can be. I think it's kind of made a resurgence since then, but in that game he switched Seismitoad to Cress to Seismitoad to Cress, stalling out the Celesteela.
Yeah, I mean, I think Celesteela has always historically had issues with passivity. It's just that within the context of the current metagame, it's just combination of bulk and the chip damage from like Leech Sheet and its capacity to just stay in and just harass teams like just it's the ultimate noob farmer, I think, and it's really good into offense. It's just that within the context of like older older metagame, the older SM metagame, I should say, it just ended up being dead weight into like fat, like a lot of balances. So that's why it initially faced the again. There was a time period where Cresselia was considered in the same vein as like fucking Tangrowth.
Hmm. Yeah, it just kind of appeared really.
Yeah, and I think a large portion of that is I think Sam had another resurgence, and then Cresselia followed alongside like Fire Spam and like different variations of Ho. And then to counteract that, Sand became prominent, and in doing so, the Celesteela became a fixture of those styles and find popularity once again. Like
Yeah.
I mean, Celesteela isn't like bad, even back then, because like was it that Charm Flash Semisol, which is a celestial alignment, has always been like effective in the metagame, albeit to varying degrees. But I think with the rise of Sand, it's like that's when Celesteela really found its footing again.
Yeah, absolutely. That team farms sand. It's the Spikes and the Celesteela and Ditto even. Yeah, I still like Celestial Alignment. I think that is still quite a strong team. I
Yeah,
wish
I
that
mean,
my channel gave you some better questions. In the interview questions channel, there isn't many good questions. But
how many
I
of them
will
are like UFC questions?
there is one. Okay. I'll set the UFC question because I like it. What does Arman Tsarukyan need to do to become the greatest of all time if he hasn't already become the greatest from Electro?
uh well, he's got to stop. First of all, he's got to stop fucking fighting in Wrath and actually take a UFC fight. As for becoming the greatest of all time, it's like the issue is that he's a number one contender, but he hasn't been active, and so whereas a lot of his like previous opponents and people who've like beaten have, like on footing again, and I don't know, like I don't think there is a realistic pathway unless he like divisions, because I think he have to beat like Carlos Oliveira in a matchup in a rematch, like maybe be taking the title from Justin Gaethje, like in Ilya Taporia, and then maybe moving up into like welterweight and then like beating Islam or some shit like that. But I don't think that's feasible.
That does
I don't
not
know.
seem feasible at all. So, final
Yeah, no
answer,
good.
Arman Tsarukyan will not become the greatest of all time.
No, he will not.
Sorry, Electro. And I have a question from Goated Immortal. I think he's trying to change his name now. I don't know what he's going to end up with, but his question is, who would you have on the SM Council?
Hmm. I think Sky Penguin is like a no-brainer. I mean, he did dip for a year, bug off for Mons, and come back to World Cup, and now he's talking about banning Serp. I think given his impact in the tier and his comparative activity, I think Skype's a fair addition. I think
Skype is actually on
there.
the SM Council already, which is a good
No,
start.
yeah. I mean, I'm more so talking from the perspective of like if you were to reset it as a whole. Like,
Right, yeah, okay. I get it. So yeah, Skype, I'd say
yeah,
no-brainer.
yeah. I mean, from my understanding, the issue with like SM Council is like complete inactivity because I think Skype's brought up like different suspects in the past before, but they just don't respond. Like a certain member got fucking banned for reasons,
Oh, yeah, that was...
but I digress.
All he did was waste
Um,
time in the council anyway.
yeah, he's trying to fucking unban like Blaziken or something stupid like Metagross, whatever.
Yeah, he was trying to unban Ubers and then he became an Uber. That's tough.
Yep. Yeah, and now he's on a ban list. But um, I think like Draconcule would probably be fine because from my understanding, he's like an SM mod. He's within the community. He plays the tier, and
Yeah, he'd,
I think
he'd, he'd
he's
get involved.
yeah, and I think other thing is like I think he's well respected enough and carries himself in a way where it's like he can probably like express things without to people who don't like main the tier without creating much conflict.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
I think we go ski because he invented rain.
oh yeah, man, and we obviously advert because his mother was a goat and his father was a man. So
That's insane.
yeah, and we obviously we have to add LSA because he beat Vert, so obviously he's better. So
Yeah, I mean, you have to go in the order of the food chain. And then
yeah,
we'd
man,
have to go and get LSA's OUFL opponents because they beat the Vert Slayer.
yeah, and I mean, hey, man, that let's say there's a reason that my man moved to SS, but now I mean, real talk is like I think Draken's fine, and I think like Crispy Bacon probably is okay, which from my understanding is like one who's been nominated anyway. He was a circuit winner in 2023. He's remained active throughout the tier's lifespan, like officials and stuff like that. And he's been involved with like NatDex, which is like very similar to SM as a whole. I think probably has like a good fundamental understanding of the tier.
Yeah, Chris would be strong for sure.
Um,
And
the other two slots, I'm not too sure is the thing because I don't like any of the current council members because of their inactivity. Like I
yeah,
think,
I think we get rid of well, no offense to them, they have their legacies, but get rid of Relas, get rid of Punny, get rid of Umbri, and Zomog took himself out.
yep,
There's talk of Abel
yeah.
on the
I mean,
council. Do you think Abel has the experience?
no,
Me neither.
uh, I don't know. Again, it's like it's an issue where it's like you have to find a balance between legacy and activity because
For sure, yeah.
I think there are plenty of like of newer players who do have their accolades. Like of course, like FDMW has consistently proven himself as arguably like an SPL caliber player. I think you, but I think the issue is just the conduct because I think you could easily make an argument in terms of like tier knowledge and whatever for like to like Zaza and the like, but you have to consider how they're going to be able to handle like confrontation.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that requires a level of maturity that I don't think a lot of people have, me included.
Yeah,
But
there needs to be more old people that play Sun and Moon.
Yeah, but the issue is that the old people who play Sun and Moon play
Suck.
it like once a year and then think it's ass. So,
Yeah, I get it.
uh, I think there's an argument for like Mr. Punny to stay because I think Umbree's been flying for 7 months, but for those two, it's like a couple months and whatever. It's like okay, I guess. I mean, at least Punny's been given a tier, comparatively recently, and like I think there's an argument to be made for like Relos because
Yeah, but they'd have to
he
come
does play
back,
like
and I
World Cup,
mean,
but that's my
they
thing is
they
just that
they could come back like right now. They're on the council.
yeah, like that's the thing is like if you're coming back just because it looks good without actually doing anything that relevant for the tier, it's like you're fucking useless. Why like the council uh needs to care about the tier because ultimately any of the tiering action needs to be approved by that group of people. And so if you're not active in the tier and you don't have any care for it, then
Yeah,
what
I
is that? Wasn't the purpose of that position, right?
I
Because
think
like again,
my
there's
take on councils is that it's not a summer job, it's an all year round job. And
right,
the the people at the top, the old gen tiering leaders, they want it to be a summer job. They don't really care about
yeah,
inactivity. But I would like all year
mm,
round players, even like players that participate in seasonals. I think that would be good. I mean, top players, sure, it's good, but top players that actually are enthusiastic about this year, I think that's ideal. And unfortunately, there isn't that many people that fit all of that criteria.
yeah. I mean, again, there's a middle ground to be made. I think one of the ideas that have been brought up for like a council change is like having like a rotation of players. That way, tiering remains active and there's like an expression of ideas and whatever. But I think that could probably find like pitfalls of like having issues with like tiering discussion kind of get stalemated, and then you just wait out for that like rotation period, and you're able to kind of impose like whatever tier change you want. And again, there's a balancing act for like activity and vacation and whatever, right? You can be active in the tier, but like if all you're doing is just building pre-existing stuff and just posting off like a general skill level, then it's like how much of the metagame do you really understand?
Yeah, I get that. And I'm thinking of the final question. A lot of the interview questions from Zinnicord just suck ass. But
Well, I mean,
okay.
in all fairness, but well, boy,
From LSA, what is your favorite what is your favorite drink? He put what
water,
do you
I guess.
like
I don't know.
more? He put what do you like more, orange or blackcurrant? But I'm assuming in Korea they don't have orange and blackcurrant squash.
What the fuck is a black currant squash?
Yeah, I thought you'd I thought that would be the case. But yeah, non-water favorite drink from LSA.
Uh, water that's not from rain.
Water that's not from rain.
All my
Well,
homies hate rain.
I'd like to say thank you for your time treatment. It has been nice hearing your perspective on Sun and Moon, and I mean all the time that you spent into it. You definitely have Sun and Moon on the back of your hand. Is there anything you'd like to say before we close out the interview?
Uh, yeah, I mean, thank you for inviting me, and I do apologize if there's like sections that are just kind of verbal sewage. It's I like just rambling on, but yeah, I mean, I appreciate it, and it was a good ending statement. It was delicious. Let's end with that.
It was delicious. That's perfect. Thank you for your time treatment, and anyone watching still, I hope you enjoyed the video, and peace.